God's blessings to all. Today, I am going to present before you another new topic called conflict and conflict management. How do we understand the word conflict and how to manage it effectively? Conflict management. Webster's dictionary defines conflict as to fight, clash, to struggle. These words, to fight, clash, and struggle, depict something is not in order. Therefore, the word conflict is usually thought of negatively. When one hears the word conflict, automatically one imagines something is wrong or something is unpleasant. I accept and understand the negative quality of human conflict, but I want to say that conflict is natural, inevitable, and central part of human existence. But when managed well, that conflict can be turned into a loving, creative experience. I would further say that persons can learn to manage conflict in constructive, healthy, and loving ways. As a result, conflict can be seen no more as destructive or unhealthy. Now, let us go one step further. Here, I feel the need of explaining some of the root causes which give rise to conflicts in human beings and the society in their relationship. The roots of human conflict. What are the roots of human conflict? Looking at the three unique characteristics of human personality, one can draw a helpful understanding on human conflict. Firstly, each individual sees and experiences the world through his or her own perceptual framework, which structures the world. Based on this perception, one makes choices and takes actions, and that becomes one's total world. Yes, dear friends, our perceptions, our views and thoughts make us behave and act in the society. Secondly, humans are intentional, willful beings. Each one has goals which he or she wants to accomplish, and these goals are targets toward which we direct our actions. We have intentions, we have desires to accomplish, and to accomplish we have our own method. Even when we are not fully clear about our goals, our actions, and our intentions directed towards which that goal, we have our stand, we have our point of view to which we hold on to, we strive to. Thirdly, humans are social beings. We live and work out our identity within the context of other persons. Our relations, our dealings, our living in the society depends how we interact with others. From our earliest awareness of others to the maturing process, we discover that other persons are like us. They pursue the world from their perspective. They have goals which they are pursuing. We have goals which we are pursuing, which would cause rise to conflict. We have goals which we are pursuing, which would cause rise to conflicts. In short, to be human means to have conflict. Despite our wish to avoid conflict, we continue to seek our own fulfillment and wholeness. This goal-directed action inevitably encounters and conflicts with other humans' pursuits of their own goals. It means because of our differences in views, orientation, aims and targets, we conflict with others. The only option we have is not whether but how to deal with the unavoidable human conflict. Not whether but how to deal with the unavoidable human conflict. But dear friends, on the other side of the coin, we need those who differ with us. Growth toward wholeness as persons is not natural unfolding. It is often painful struggle. We frequently discover our blind spots, our biases, our areas of needed growth through those who conflict, disagree, and stand over against us. Our personalities, when come with conflict, in conflict with others, they help us to discover our own loopholes, our own shortcomings. They help us, in fact, in forming our personalities. Resistance from others enable us not only to pursue our own limitations and weaknesses, but to gain insight into our identity and intentions. So, as a result, conflict, if acknowledged and faced, can be gift of God's grace set before us. When taken positively, conflict helps us to grow into maturity. I want to put before you 5 guidelines for managing conflict effectively. The following principles or guidelines are recommended as helpful guidelines for creative conflict management. They may seem simple, but the point is that one should be able to internalize and use them in those moments when rationality or reason fails. These guidelines will help us to cope up with the conflict situations when not handled properly. These principles or guidelines require persistence and practice to increase one's capacity and skill in managing conflict. It means by practicing one day or 2 days doesn't help us. We need persistence and practice and an amount of interest in equipping ourselves in conflict management. Before we start, one should keep in mind the following 2 suggestions in learning and internalizing the principles and guidelines. First, practice one principle at a time instead of trying to change everything at once. Second, use the principles as a checklist, whether you are on track or not. The first principle is help others feel better about themselves. Persons can manage conflict best when they are feeling secure and good about themselves. Make the other feel good. For example, if you have anything against the other person, try the method of appreciating other so that he becomes cool and calm and tries to understand your way of perspective. This positive attitude makes them to be open to the goodness in others, and as a result, they can see and agree a wider range of alternatives and possibilities. But when they are feeling bad about themselves, it will generate only the opposite reactions which lead to further complications. So, to tackle conflict, help others feel better about themselves. Secondly, strive for effective communication. Very often, misunderstanding occurs with the communication. When there is conflict between two persons, the problem is one does not understand the other. So, to avoid problems, one should practice two things. First, listen carefully at all levels, both verbal and non-verbal, because body communicates a lot of messages when observed carefully. Second, check with the other to see if one is understanding the message correctly and properly what the other intends. When that is seen clearly to great extent, it avoids problems. Communication, lack of communication, lack of understanding the other creates a lot of trouble. So to avoid, strive for effective communication. Thirdly, examine and filter assumptions. Everyone makes assumptions, but they need to be verified. Beware that all make assumptions about other persons and situations that have no basis in reality, and in turn act on them without ever checking their validity. If a person holds on to some wrong notions and assumptions, that will destroy the character and personality. People even have the tendency to nurse and hold on to those assumptions and hide them from the light of examination. They do not want anyone to say anything about them. They hold on to wrong notions. These unexamined assumptions very often contribute to destructive conflict. Creative conflict management should include a reminder to see whether or not the assumptions one is acting upon are true. It is very essential. Fourthly, identify goals. Identifying what a person, group, or organization is trying to accomplish, what is wanted, is usually the most important element in conflict management. The existence of a conflict means that there are two or more persons, intentions, and actions trying to occupy the same space at the same time. One wants his or her things only to happen. Two different personalities trying to put two different things at the same time will cause. Trying to achieve the same thing at the same time will differ and give cause to conflict. Until persons identify what each party wants or is trying to accomplish, in short, what their goal is, they can never manage the conflict. Find the goal, find the target, so that you can avoid the conflict that is arising between two persons. Fifthly, identify the primary issue. Many persons want to offer a quick solution to the conflict often before they are even clear about the central issue. Persisting until the issue is clear is complicated by the fact that most conflicts have multiple issues. Rarely, however, can all of the issues be effectively worked on at once. It is more helpful to focus on at least one main issue until an alternative is found. A good conflict manager continues to ask, is this the primary issue? Once an alternative is found for that issue, it will help manage the other related issues as well. In any problem, in any conflict, finding the primary issue is very essential. Otherwise, we will be beating around the bush. Sixthly, develop alternatives for goal achievement. Search for alternatives that will allow all parties to achieve that which is important and fulfilling to them. It is not always easy, but to try to find out what can satisfy both the conflicting parties. Everyone knows that this goal is not always attainable, but if persons do not begin with that as their goal, they will often settle the issue too quickly and inadequately. Belief that such alternatives can be discovered is crucial to creative conflict management. Finding the middle path, alternatives, is very essential in dealing with complicated situations. As I said in the beginning, the only option we have is not whether, but how to deal with the unavoidable human conflict. After having considered what is conflict, reasons for conflict, and effective ways of managing conflict, now one can, to great extent, turn the difficult situations into beautiful opportunities to grow as fully matured human persons. Wishing all the best, I conclude my few thoughts on conflict management. Thank you, one and all. God bless all of you. Happy New Year.